Maybe you could walk in the light too if you only disdained all humanity. Hello and welcome to another episode of Cheap Smut. My name is Katie Mizell.
And my name is Carl Mizell.
And this is a podcast with a belly full of pizza and a mind full of filthy jokes. How are you, Carl?
I am so good.
Yeah.
I also have a belly full of pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what's going on in my mind. That's
We never do. Not really.
Neither here nor there. It's not for us to know.
Mm-mm.
It's God's plan.
What a shitty plan.
It's a terrible plan.
Nobody gets to know the rules of this game.
But other than that mental instability / uncertainty, I am doing fantastic. We jettisoned the children off to Flint with your parents for the night. And then we went out, man. We went to Dead Time Stories, great local bookstore here in our fair city of Lansing. Then we scooched across the street over to Sleepwalker for amazing pizza. Mm-hmm. And now we're coming home. We're going to make an episode of this podcast, and we are going to make it. We'll be done with this episode before we would have even started bedtime proceedings.
Oh, yeah. The sun will still be out when we're done.
Yeah.
And it'll be weird.
Exactly. I mean, we did do some day records for a while there.
We did, yeah. Because the kids were all in school, and the best time to do it was in the middle of the day.
Yeah, so that was my lunch break for the day.
Yeah.
Knocking off for an hour to go do a podcast and get back to work.
But I think we both kind of prefer the evening records.
Yes.
Kind of like the energy of these better.
Yeah, which is why this is the second attempt at this episode.
Yes, it is. Last night, the energy was faulty.
Yeah, we got like 15 minutes. I think we were like 15, 16 minutes into the show before we were like, yeah, you know what, let's not. It just, like, we hadn't even, I think we were like halfway through the triple T's.
Yeah, I think we had gotten through the triple T's and I hadn't started the summary yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I was just like, this doesn't feel right. This feels wrong.
Yeah, this right here.
Yeah.
This feels right.
This feels much better
this feels
tonight.
Good.
And more than anything, like I didn't want to do a bad job of the book. Like
no,
I didn't want the book to sound bad. So no to the bad energy.
Yeah.
We're retrying.
Yep. So the vibes are immaculate.
So much better. So
we will get almost right into it. But there was one thing that came up while we were recording last night that we do need to touch on.
Yes.
Before we proceed.
Yeah. In my reading of this week's book and my research into it, I need to apologize for claiming that Transylvania was not a real place. A couple of weeks ago during Blood Moon, Carl very vulnerably was like, hey, is Transylvania real? And I very confidently said, no. And that's bullshit.
And I would I hate to interrupt this, but I would like to issue a correction for what Katie just said just now. It was during the record of Pounded by the Classics.
Was it?
It was in Baltimore?
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Because he went to Transylvania to get pounded by Frankenstein.
That's right.
That's right. Oh, my bad. Correction of my correction.
Yeah.
I don't even know what episode of my own podcast I said the wrong thing in.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled correction.
So my deepest apologies to the lovely people of Transylvania, which is not a country, but is indeed a region of Romania with a deep cultural root, and I just ignored you. I just pretended you weren't real for a while there, and that was wrong of me. I'm really sorry. I swear, I thought Transylvania's made up, like for Halloween.
Yeah.
Like,
we're real. No, thank you.
I'm sorry. I really am. I even in the reading of this book learned so much about your culture and how lovely it is.
So
up there in the mountains of northern Romania.
I know we talked about this also last night. I can't remember if anybody from Romania, because we've been listened to in over 60 countries now.
I don't think we have.
I don't know if Malta and Cyprus have.
For sure.
But I don't know if Romania's made the list.
I don't
Slovakia.
think we have. But if you indeed have listened from Romania and you heard me say that, email me, cheapsmutpod@gmail.com, and just say, you're an idiot. Just something. Because I feel like I need to apologize directly to at least one person.
Yeah. And then you can take it back to everybody and be like, it's fine, guys. She said
She said it.
She said she was sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
So with all of that out of the way, and speaking of getting things out of the way, we've put Monster Erotica in the rear view.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have.
But now that allows us the opportunity to move on to our next convention appearance, which will be July 19th and 20th at Sinful Signings 2025 in Roanoke, Virginia. We will be back this year. This time we will be back as the official podcast of the event, but we will not be the only podcast at the event.
We have been officially introduced to the Blush podcast, which is the other podcast that they are featuring at Sinful this year. And we're hoping to do some stuff with them before the event because they seem like cool people.
Yeah. So we are looking very much forward to that as well. And so going forward for the next, it's like 56 days away now. So for roughly the next 9 weeks, we're going to be featuring books that fall into the dark romance genre because that is what Sinful Signings focuses on.
Yes, Sinful Signings is a bit more robust in terms of the kind of work you can find there, but it is mostly dark romance focused. Dark romance and fantasy are the two main elements, and some just horror or speculative horror, I would say.
As opposed to Monster Erotica, which is all monsters, but not necessarily dark.
Yeah.
This is all dark, and you might see some monsters, but the monsters are going to be dark.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think I looked through the author list. I don't know if there are any monster authors attending Sinful. Except Lindsay Rain, because she wrote Aliens and Reindeer Shifters with crazy candy cane dicks. I don't know that there are a lot of other monster fuckers there.
We'll find out. I at this point, I could be making broad generalizations.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess I will say we could call all of these books monster fucker books if you broaden your definition of monster to include human monstrosities.
Yes. So everybody's welcome under this umbrella.
Absolutely. We are a yes and kind of podcast. Everybody's welcome here.
Yes. And what do we have on the agenda for this week?
Nice transition. This week, for your pleasure, I read Draga and the Savage, Book 1, Dragobete by Jenny Allen, which is the first book in an ongoing series of novellas called Draga and the Savage. So each one is Draga and the Savage : something. Yeah. The first one is Dragobete.
Which, again, anime-ass name.
It is. There seriously are anime-ass names, and I love it. I really do.
I was going to say, that's not a pejorative.
No, it's great.
That's a high compliment.
Yeah, it's what we've been saying for so long. I want more books with crazy-ass long anime titles like Kimberly Lemming books, That Time I Got Drunk, and That Time those are great. That's wonderful. It's a fantastic bucking of the common naming convention.
Yeah. I think I know somebody. I know a guy.
You know a guy?
I could put a bug in.
Are you going to talk to Chad?
I'll talk to a guy.
All right. Or is it Chet?
No, I don't know. We'll talk.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So this week, Draga and the Savage is a series that I was recommended by Katie Horde, who is one of the Sinfluencers for Sinful Signings and also one of our first big supporters and one of our best friends now. And the series itself is a spin-off of Jenny Allen's big series, which is an urban fantasy crime drama series called the Lilith Adams series. And the characters featured in Draga and the Savage are the villains from the Lilith Adams series.
It also sounds like it could be a musical act, like Draga and the Savage. Oh, have you heard Dragobete yet?
Yeah.
From Draga and the Savage? Oh,
so good.
So fucking good.
Oh man, I'm hearing if Florence and the Machine and Sleep Token had a baby.
Draga and the Savage.
That's Draga and the Savage right there. And I think that would be fucking dope.
Somebody is listening to this episode right now.
I hope you are.
They're listening to it right now. Somehow, as we record it, they're listening to it. I don't know how. Time is
a flat circle.
Time is a flat circle. And they heard you say it's like Florence and the Machine and Sleep Token had a baby. And they literally, like, fell backwards in their chair. Like, they were like... because that is peak them.
Yes.
They were like, I've always wanted a band like that.
Yeah, that actually sounds really good. That sounds like a band I would really enjoy, actually. A combination of sad girl music and like dark yearning rock.
Yeah.
It's great. Sounds good. But in this case, it's not a cool band. It's a couple folks who are downright despicable.
And one of them is a savage.
Tell
me more about the savages. Or the savage.
Tell me more about the Savage Pearl. Nobody's going to get that reference but us. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So this book, Draga and the Savage, Book 1, Dragobete, is available for $2.99 or through Kindle Unlimited. I think it was $8.99 for a print-on-demand paperback, or $13 to get a signed paperback directly from Jenny Allen's website, or $14.95 for the audiobook through Audible, which was just released a week before this recording.
Or for $25 plus airfare and lodging, she will come to you and throw it at your head. The book's only $25.
Yeah, it's the airfare and lodging that's really going to cost you there.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many opportunities are you going to have somebody just chuck a book at your noggin?
And $75 a day per diem.
Well, she's got to eat.
She's got to eat.
Yeah. And airport food is expensive.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a Chili's too?
Yeah. But read the fine print. She will not do layovers. Direct flights only.
Direct flights only, exactly. Oh, God. And none of that red-eye shit.
Yeah, no.
Please.
She only flies between 11 and 1 p.m. 11 a.m. and 1 p.m.
Getting this $25 book chucked at your head is going to cost you $3,000.
Worth it.
Worth it. Absolutely.
Because then you know what else you have in addition to the book? A story.
A story. That's true. But you may, in the future, fear paperbacks.
Every time you see somebody reading it, you flinch. Ah! Oh, I thought you were going to throw that at me. One time I paid $3,000 to have
an author throw their book at my head.
I didn't realize this would happen. I didn't think it through. Books are ruined for me forever.
Oh no, it's the consequences of my own actions.
I long for the smell of paper, but no, I can only do paper white Kindles now. And for some reason, highlights. You know, for kids.
Because they're great. Because they're fun. Goofus and Gallant, that shit's awesome.
You telling me you didn't learn from Goofus and Gallant?
Come on.
You fucked with Goofus and Gallant.
Gallant always tucks his shirt in.
Goofus, sloppy piece of shit.
Sloppy as fuck. Never getting anywhere in life. Because appearances are the most important thing.
Now, in his defense, nominative determinism is a thing.
That's true.
His parents named him Goofus.
They did. It's really their fucking fault at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
What, you thought he was going to be normal?
You named
him Goofus. This is literally just him acting out. Family therapist says I have to legally change my kid's name. Legally.
To what? Gallant is already taken.
We're thinking maybe just Greg, because that way he'll just be a middle manager.
And we'll still have that g, so it'll be sort of familiar.
Yeah, he'll still answer to it, if he hears the g sound.
You don't even have to finish it. He hears the g, he knows who you're talking to. Jesus Christ.
People keep saying they love our digressions.
No, and you know what? No, first of all, one person said it.
Two people have said it.
Two people said it. But second of all, I was listening to The Dollop, one of the inspirations for our podcast, and I was like, these guys are way worse than us, and they're famous.
See? You keep telling me to speed it up, and I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's just because I got shit to do.
I know. We're busy.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about this book some more? Yeah, let's do the triple T's, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. Our triggers this week are dark themes, violence, gore, and murder, on-page death of a minor, attempted sexual assault, depictions of war and devastation, drug use, both consensual and non-consensual, and vampires, so blood, bloodletting, blood consumption, etc.
So when you say minor, do you mean coal or unaccompanied?
O-R.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, sucks. Dark themes. That was the first thing I said.
Yeah.
Our tropes this week. This is an FM cis heterosexual dark romance featuring vampiric characters, historical romance, medieval Eastern Europe, only one bed, and a romance, not a love story, because there is a distinction. And I feel like it's important this week.
For reasons that will reveal themselves rather upsettingly.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
I assume.
Oh, it's upsettingly wonderful.
Oh.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
Wonderfully upsetting? Either way.
Yeah.
Our titillations. One chili pepper. This book is actually pretty mellow in terms of the spice, but we're here for a different kind of like emotional indulgence this week. Ritualistic sex, blood play and violence, sex outdoors, and power struggle dynamics.
Like class warfare? Or?
Technically, I guess.
Cool.
Sort of.
It's kind of my thing.
Class warfare?
Yeah.
In the eat the rich way, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. When we were at that bookstore today, I saw there's a new book that just came out. It's called The Summer I Ate the Rich. And the cover itself is very striking. I don't know what it's about. I haven't even read the summary, but the cover itself is so striking. I kind of want to buy it just because it's beautiful.
That's why I bought the book I bought.
Yeah. And it also sounds amazing.
Sounds fucking insane.
Yeah, vampires, werewolves, and Frankenstein's monster in space in the future.
In a sentient, what appears to be a sentient spaceship that's fighting with its medical AI.
Yeah.
And also has a Dracula on board that killed all of its passengers.
Yes. Like, that sounds so fucking cool.
It's called Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove, and it sounds phenomenal.
Yes. I want you to tell me everything about it.
I will.
Please. But I will tell you everything about this book.
Let's go.
So this series follows two immortals through their time in medieval Romania and uses historically accurate language, names, and places. There is a lovely glossary of terms with a pronunciation guide in the introduction to this book. I tried, and I will continue to try, but I don't speak Romanian, let alone medieval Romanian. So I'm doing my best here. We begin this week with our FMC. Her name is Luminita Dragomir, and Jenny Allen simply loves her character art.
You said Luminita?
Luminita
Okay.
Dragomir, yes. And it has all of her characters' art posted on her website.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
This is Luminita. I'm showing Carl a picture right now. She's a very beautiful woman. Looks like she's probably in her 30s with brown or dark black hair, Caucasian skin, blue eyes, and full lips. She looks incredibly powerful and a little bit scary.
Yeah.
I like her very much. So Luminita was born into a noble family in 11th century Romania, and in addition to being a noble, she is also what they call themselves Durand. D-U-R-A-N-D, Durand or Durand. I'm not entirely sure of that pronunciation, but I kept reading it as Durand because that's a town right down the road.
Well, and funnily enough, there are people who still, at least they used to argue, we always pronounced it Durand, but there are people who claim that if you're from there, you say Durand.
It's Durand.
But I've never heard anybody say it other than people who, like 4 people.
Yeah. So either way of this pronunciation, what a Durand is, for the ease of understanding, is an emotional vampire. They feed on the energy of people's souls and they can sense their emotions.
Oh.
The Durand are what they call themselves soul eaters. But they're essentially a different kind of vampire. They are immortal, long-lived, powerful, strong, with extrasensory abilities, and they happen to feed on the energy and life force of humans. They just don't have to consume the blood in order to be able to do that. But for all of her enhanced ability and the fact she also has additional abilities on top of that, she has the ability to sense the emotional imprint that someone has left in a space even after they're gone, which is not something everyone else can do. Even with all of this power and all of this ability, she's still a woman in 11th century Romania, and she is powerless, and she hates that. She spent the first century of her life just watching the men in her family fuck up and fuck up and fuck up, and all she could ever hope to be was a sort of a pawn in a marriage scheme to be traded for goods or services, and she didn't want that for herself, so she eventually ended up leaving her family. She just walked away. She took what she could and she walked away, and she started walking through the wilderness of Romania, northeast towards Transylvania, towards the mountains.
Okay.
And as she went, she became a legend. In Romania, there is a legend of some kind of supernatural, beautiful woman in the woods who will lure you in with either wishes or your doom if you're a man. And she is often depicted as having hair full of flowers or to be carrying a bundle of flowers. She's called the Lady of Flowers, or the Romanian name Dragosha.
Okay.
So over the course of her travels through Romania on foot, again, 11th century, you're walking everywhere you go, she gained the reputation of being Dragosha, the Lady of Flowers, an incredibly powerful, almost godlike figure in the woods, and nobody will fuck with her, which is great because eventually she found a little hut in the middle of nowhere. It used to be used by hunters who were out on long treks, but now Dragosha's in the woods. They don't come here anymore. She lives in that hut now, and she's having a fantastic time just living in the woods by herself, scheming and plotting for a future that she can control without having to deal with men ever.
The only person who, when you ask them, how's it going? And they say, live in the dream. Only person who can say that. I mean, I live in a cabin in the woods where men are fearful of treading.
Yes. Living the dream. Also, I'm beautiful forever and never die. I mean, there's a few bonuses to being Luminita. So she lives this really simple, peaceful life in this abandoned hut in the woods until the spring of 1241, when the Mongols' Golden Horde invaded. I had to do a little research on this, so I'll share this with you. The Mongols are an ethnic group from East Asia north into the mountains, including Mongolia and China. They are they have a very long history of power and conquest around the world. The Mongols, when we think of them still, we think of them as being a conquesting, massive horde, but they were actually several hordes, and the Golden Horde was the largest of those hordes, and they expanded dramatically during this time period in history, and that's when they came down into the mountains and started taking over Romania. Luminita is just chilling at home one night, like eating stew and having a lovely evening. They still have to eat food, which means I'm cool with it because I can't be a vampire forever if I don't get to eat food anymore.
Right.
But she still gets stew. So she's eating her stew. She's having a great night. And then she hears some sounds in the woods and she goes to investigate. She thinks it's probably just a couple of hunters who were off on their own, which means food. She's going to go and take from them what she needs. So she wanders off into the woods alone in the dark, but she's not scared.
Oh, fuck no. They're scared of her.
Yep. Until she gets too far into the woods and realizes that this isn't just a couple of dudes. It's like a dozen or more Mongols from a larger invading army who have come up into the woods to do whatever the hell they want. One of them spots her. She tries to hide from them. Doesn't work. One of them spots her, and 4 of these guys break off and start chasing her through the woods. She doesn't have the kind of supernatural speed that would zip you away from your foes. So she runs from them for as long as she can until eventually she is cornered by them. They grab her, they tackle her, they start touching her. They have every intention of raping her. And as soon as one of them gets their hands on her, she digs her fingernails into the skin of their wrist and he falls down dead.
Good.
The others are momentarily confused by all of this, but they're still going to try and do what they need to do, basically. The second one puts a sword to her throat, and threatens her in a language she doesn't understand, but a threat is a threat, obviously.
Yeah.
She has a knife to her throat right now. And so she leans into it and turns toward him and like lets it cut her throat because she's trying to terrify them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's working. So she kills that guy too. The other two start backing away from her slowly, but they are up against the bank of a river. And so she starts advancing toward them.
And they're like, oh no, we're finding out.
Exactly. They keep backing up. And then she just kind of like jumps at them, and they both kind of like fall backward. One of them falls immediately into the river and gets swept away.
Yeah.
But the other one grabs onto whatever scrub is on the bank. He's holding on as this is I think it's called the Temis River, and it is a very large river. It's spring. This is mountain country. That is a fast fucking river right now. So he's probably holding on for dear life, and he is probably, she assumes, begging for his life right now. But this is the guy who touched her somewhere inappropriately, and she's not letting him get away with that. So she picks his sword up off of the ground, and she chops his hands off until he flows down the river. And she's like, fuck y'all.
He's just like, I was using them.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Because you used them for something bad. And so I cut them off.
But I was, okay, fair point.
Yep. You know what you did.
I see now what it's too late.
She spends the rest of the night hiding in the forest, just clutching onto that sword for dear life, hoping that nobody else comes, but prepared to fight for her life if she has to. In the meantime, she has left her hut unattended, and it has been invaded by our MMC. His name is Aaron. One name, like Cher. He looks like this.
Yeah.
For Carl, I'm showing him the visual. He's a handsome man. Looks like he's in his maybe 40s. Nape-length hair, beard, square features. Standard issue book boyfriend. Slightly older model, I guess I would say. A classic, if you will. Which is a joke for me specifically, because Aaron is 7,000 years old. Aaron is the first vampire, and as far as he knows, one of 3. That's it. You can't make more. It's just them. He's been around for 7,000 years.
Seems boring.
I know, right? He's seen the fall and rise and fall and rise of Lord knows how many civilizations, but he has loved every moment of it because he believes his nature to be that of blood and ruin. So every time civilizations fall, he thrives.
Oh, yeah.
He loves this. He loves it. In fact, recently his brother, who tried to be kinder and more hospitable to humanity, just left him behind. And so now he has nothing holding him back from doing whatever the fuck he wants, just reveling in blood and ruin. That's Aaron.
Yeah. He's on the side of big vampire.
Yeah, he is. And he's happy to do it. So what he's doing now is he's following the Mongol horde from village to village. And after they clear out, he eats the rest. He eats the stragglers, basically.
He's like a remore.
Yeah, basically. And he loves this. He thinks this is his purpose. It's what he's built for. It's all he likes to do. He is a sociopath. In the purest sense of the word. He cares about nothing because he's 7,000 years old.
Yeah, you would lose touch.
Yeah, he has lost touch completely. They say later in the book, and I think I even put it in my notes, that he hasn't had sex in 7,000 years. He got bored with it when he was like 40. He doesn't care about anything except killing people and drinking blood. That's like his whole thing.
I'm 46 and I'm still into it. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe you were doing it wrong, Aaron.
So Aaron has been traveling through the Romanian wilderness, following the horde, killing people whenever he can, drinking their blood, and he has developed his own legend. He is the Strigoi, which is the classic Romanian version of the vampire, the blood-drinking demon who lures you into the woods. Mm-hmm. So Aaron follows the Golden Horde to the town near Luminita's hut. And he watches from the top of the hill as the horde goes into town, and he's like, okay, well, now I have to figure out what to do with my night, because I'm not going in until they're gone, and it usually takes a while. And then he sees this hut, and he goes in, and there's food, and it's still warm, and he's kind of curious about the person who lives here. He goes through their stuff. He sits on their furniture. He uses their blanket. He eats their meal, and he kind of establishes some kind of touch with the real world that he hasn't had in a really long time. Just by being in this space, he becomes almost curious about human comfort in a weird way.
That makes sense.
And this may be the first sort of inkling of him developing emotions or something, one might say.
Well, after 7,000 years,
right?
You might be like, I've done everything else. Why not become emotionally intelligent?
Could fuck around.
Yeah,
Sounds fun.
Might work.
All right. If not, ice cream sandwich.
And sociopathy.
And sociopathy. Sociopathy? Sociopathy. Anyway. So, just before dawn, the Horde moves on. The town, which is called Timisoara, is a burning husk, and Aaron moves in to be evil. Cool. When Luminita returns to her hut at dawn, she finds the door is open, her stew is eaten, her stuff has been gone through, and she pushes out her Durand abilities to sense the emotional imprint of what was left behind. And she feels something that she has never felt before. This deep, primal, gnawing, dark hunger. Something ancient that she doesn't really understand, but it intrigues her. It makes her curious. At this point, she is 300 something years old, and she's also a little disillusioned. Life's kind of boring for her at this point. She sleeps, she wakes up, she realizes, I need to know who the fuck this person is. So she packs her things, what few things she has, including like one really, really nice outfit, which gets described several times because she wears it throughout the book whenever she needs to appear to be like extra human, she puts on the sexy outfit to sort of dazzle humanity, right? Makes perfect sense. And it's like this sheer see-through red thing that's only held up with gold bands. Like, fuck yes. Who wouldn't think you're a goddess, right?
Yeah.
For real. So she packs all her stuff and she starts to follow the trail of that hunger. She goes into the town of Timisoara, and she finds this little girl who's crying in a barn, and she says that she is Dragacia. So the girl immediately trusts her because she is an entity she understands. And she asks for information about what happened here. The little girl says a monster came. She wants to know who the monster is. And the girl basically explains that she was hiding with her mother and her sisters before or during the siege. But then after the siege, a monster came and he ate them. And he drank their blood, and he bit them, and he killed them. And this moment is incredibly sad, but it's also really indicative of Luminita as a character. She is kind to this little girl. She's very soft. She's very sweet. She doesn't want her to be afraid. She helps her feel safe. And then when she's got all the information she needs, this girl comes in for a hug, and she takes her soul and she kills her.
Yeah.
But this is, to her, it's a kindness. It's either that or this girl wanders into the woods to starve.
Yeah, or survives.
Or survives.
And is
traumatized forever, right? To her, it's better.
Yeah.
This is better. And that just kind of gives you a pretty good understanding of who Luminita is as a person. She's ruthless and brutal, but she's not unkind. Now that she has a description of who she's looking for, because the little girl was able to describe this monster, she sets out following the Horde again. We meet up with Aaron then sometime later. I don't know how far along they are, but they're at a much farther point inside the borders of Romania. So they've been walking for a while. And he's doing his thing, killing villagers in the aftermath.
Like you do.
The problem is that the Mongols were lazy this time, and they left a lot of people behind. And so when he catches a little girl and she starts screaming, a bunch of villagers come.
Oh, no.
And he tries to run. Again, they are immortal, but they're not impenetrable, somebody whacks him upside the back of the head with something hard. And the next thing he remembers is waking up, and he's staked out all four corners like of his arms, or all his limbs are staked to four corners of a crossroads. And the villagers are arguing about how they have to kill him because they're superstitious, and there's a bunch of myth and legend around how you kill the Strigoi. And even though the fucking stake to the heart would kill anybody, right? There still are these two idiots from town are arguing about how they kill him. And before they get a chance to actually come over and try, Luminita walks into the space. She has gotten herself dressed in her fancy I'm a goddess outfit. She declares herself to be Dragesha, and she demands that they let the Strigoi go because all creatures of the dark belong to her. And they argue with her, and they refuse to do that, and she gets mad and she threatens them. And they try to reason with her, I assume to protect her. She doesn't need that. And eventually she demands that they let him go. And a woman from this group kind of runs up to her and grabs onto her skirts and starts begging, like, please, Dragesha, let us kill this Strigoi. He's dangerous. And she reaches down and she touches this woman's face and she falls down dead. And she, again, demands that they release him immediately, or she'll do the same to everyone else. I think she kills one more person, just as like no, that wasn't a fluke. I can do this again.
Just so you know, I can do this all day.
I'll keep going. And then the rest of them rush to Aaron to start releasing him. And as soon as he's got like one limb free, he grabs a guy up and he rips his throat out. He doesn't drink his blood. He rips his throat out and lets the guy just sort of pulse until he's dead. And from this point on, what we have here is the most violent meet cute in the history of humanity.
Lady in red.
She is wearing a red gown, and he is covered in blood right now.
Is staring at me.
And so they proceed to kill all of the remaining villagers, but in a kind of cat and mouse way where they're trying to suss out each other. She is making commands. She's taking all of the authority. She's telling him what to do. And he doesn't like that. I mean, in 7,000 years, nobody's ever told him what to do, ever. He's the first vampire. So the fact that anyone is staking a claim on him by saying he is a creature of the night and therefore belongs to her, he's not happy about any of that. But he also finds this woman who stepped out of the woods holding a sword and killed two people by just touching them is fascinating to him. So he's gonna try and figure out who she is, but he does so by playing a game of like depravity chicken. Like, he kills somebody and then he brings her a little old lady and he's like, now you. And she hacks this person apart, basically. And then I think the final thing he does is he rips the last one's head off and he like holds it above his head and he's like drinking from the dripping blood and he's like staring at her, trying to see, like, are you going to run away now? Because this is fucked up. This is fucked up and it's happening. And she's just like, I love it. I love everything about this.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yep, basically.
That's what it feels like.
That's what it is. That's what it is. The entire time, their entire dynamic, it's so good too. I loved it. Is she knows that she is the apex predator in this situation, but he has never not been the apex predator before, and it confuses his poor male ego so badly every time. It's so funny. So eventually, all these people are dead. He's covered in blood. She's still pristine, but they have the same kill count, which is great. And he is now angry at her for making a claim on him, making commands of him in any way. And I believe he tries to hurt her at that point. He tries to grab her and she snatches him up by the wrist and pulls on his soul and brings him to his knees immediately. Like, she weakens him physically to the point where he can't stand, and he's just looking up at her, absolute awe, like moment of clarity. Who are you? And she says, I am Luminita Dragomir, the eater of souls, and you are mine to command. And she calls him Salbatic, which is the Romanian word for savage or feral or wild or many other things. But in this case, it means savage. And she will call him that for the rest of their time. In the character art, he is called Aaron Salbatic. And I think that's his modern name. So he's been using that the name that she gave him for almost a millennium. Mm-hmm. And that's not love. I don't fucking know what is. Mm-hmm. So from here on out, we have what is basically the longest game of dominance in all of recorded history. I mean, I'm guessing it never really stops. Up into the Lilith Adams books, they're probably still arguing for dominance, but it's so fun to watch them fight. It's so great. He is never just going to roll over and show his belly to this woman, but also he is going to follow her around like a puppy dog.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, 7,000 years old, no, nothing but blood and murder, and suddenly this woman has brought you to your knees. Please. Absolutely obsessed with her.
What's the Romanian word for simp?
I wish I knew. But she basically spends the rest of this book just like leading him around by the metaphorical dick, just ratatouilleing him everywhere. It's great. So they leave this town together and they head toward the river to get cleaned up after their massacre. And as they go, she explains a little bit more about her Durand status. So she explains how she could sense the lingering presence of him in her hut and how she followed that and tracked him across Romania that way. She tells him that she sensed this ancient primal hunger in him, and that is the thing that intrigues her and made her want to find him. And he's sort of like, oh, ancient primal hunger. Thanks. Oh, that's so nice. He asks a little bit more about her abilities because he thought that soul eaters were a myth. He's met a few other sort of magical or extra normal creatures in his life, but mostly it's just been him and his brothers. He didn't think soul eaters were real. And even if they were real, he kind of thought the soul itself was a myth. He definitely didn't think that he had a soul. And she's like, no, you do, because you're having feelings right now. And that's where those come from. They come from your soul, friend. And I can pull on it whenever I want.
And he's like, oh, that's what that was?
Yeah, and he's like, I don't think so. And she just lists all of the things that he's feeling right now. Mm-hmm. All of them, including the horny. That is definitely there. And it's there the whole time. And she plays with that constantly as sort of as a method of controlling him, but also because she just thinks it's fun. He tries to touch her while they're standing in this beautiful moonlit field, not aggressively or anything. He just wants to touch her, and she is not okay with that. She tells him that he is never allowed to touch her without her permission ever, or she will kill him. And that remains true for the rest of the book. He's not allowed to touch her. Ugh, so good.
No touching.
And because this is an actual credible threat to his life for the first time, perhaps in his entire existence, he is actually unsure of how to proceed. She is absolutely determined to forge her own path through life. And to her, that means that she will never compromise her goals for any reason, let alone ever consider the needs of a man. Ever. So he's not going to touch her because she's also deeply attracted to him, and he's intriguing and curious and powerful, but she will not fuck this up with a man.
Yeah.
Like, she's got plans, and nothing will compromise that. He spends most of this conversation trying to rebel against her, but in a weirdly simping way, which is really funny. And she loves this. Like, she can sense his emotions again all of the time. And she loves playing this game with him. She loves this like push and pull thing that they've got going on. And I think that's part of the reason why she hung out with him for so long, if I'm being honest, because it's sort of a sociopathic little game she plays with him. And she wins it every single time, which is fantastic.
Hooray, we love that for her.
She has the upper hand in everything. I mean, she can sense all of his emotions, and then she can, because she is from a family of empaths and has learned how to hone those skills, extrapolate possible outcomes and guess people's actions before they even occur. She's basically a god.
Yeah.
And she's he can't lie to her. Like, she's incredible, and his attraction to her is incredible. He's never going to not simp for this woman. And again, she's also attracted to him, but she was raised to be above her own emotions, and so she will never act on that ever. They go to the river, they bathe, and then she climbs out of the river to lay on the bank and sun herself. He can also walk in the sunlight.
I was going to say,
I forgot to mention that.
I'm
sorry.
No, it's
Daywalker.
It started to click in my brain. I was like, he looked far too bronzed.
Yeah. He's the only one. He's the only vampire that can walk in the light. His brothers can't. And he believes that it's because he's the only one to truly embrace his own nature. Because they all try to soften themselves.
Oh.
And he's the hardened sociopath.
Yeah, if you guys weren't busy fucking around being,
nice
vampires. What? Yeah.
Maybe you could walk in the light too if you only disdained all humanity.
Already got several really strong cold open options. There's another one right there.
So anyway, she crawls out onto the riverbank to sun herself, and he cranks it.
I assume you mean his dick.
I do. I do. He jacks off, which in a way he finds to be a little demeaning. Like, I haven't done this in thousands of years. I can't believe somebody's making me horny right now.
Aaron,
it's so funny.
Bro, it's like riding a bike.
A really fun bike.
Yeah.
So he comes out of the water eventually, and he sees her laying naked on the riverbank, full sun, and he thinks she's fucking insane. Like, are you out of your mind? You're a naked woman laying on a riverbank, and she's like, I ain't afraid of no things.
Yeah, and then she's like, tug, tug. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, yep.
Yeah.
Nope. And I'm a 7,000-year-old
simp.
So a normal human's got, you know what? Fuck it. Forget I said anything. As you were.
Yeah, for real. She invites him to sleep next to her on her blanket, and he curls up, and she turns her back to him and then promptly falls asleep, which is another insane thing for her to do, he thinks. She just fell asleep with her back to the apex predator. The apex predator. But that just shows you exactly how little she fears him. She does not give a fuck, and she is not afraid. He considers leaving right now and just not dealing with this, but
at least he thought about it.
Yeah. But he at the end of the day can't bring himself to do it. Again, simp.
Yeah.
He can't part from this woman, especially not before he understands what the fuck he's dealing with here.
I can't stay mad at you.
Yeah. And so he ends up falling asleep next to her. In the morning, he wakes up and she is already getting packed. Tomorrow, she says, is Dragobete. And she has some stuff that she needs to do before that. So Dragobete is a traditional Romanian festival celebrating like the return of spring, but specifically it's the Make Babies festival. It's the horny festival.
Oh.
It celebrates physical love. In Romania, at this time, at least, according to Draga, according to Luminita, it is the day the birds are betrothed. That's what it means. And it sort of signifies the day around the time that birds start building their nests and they start coupling up. So it's
get it, birds.
It's a fertility ritual. It's a fertility rite. It's a fertility festival. Fucking love this. And he's like, why do you care about human nonsense? Like, I've been around for 7,000 years. We didn't have this like 7,000 years ago. Why do you care about this? And she's like, no, rituals have power. Days are important. My people have a whole thing with Dragobete. It's a little bit different than the human thing. I have a whole ritual that you can help me if you'd like. And it is important to me. It is about, she explains that it's this ritual about like power and abundance. And it involves ritualistic bloodletting and sex magic.
He's like, fuck yes!
He's like, color me intrigued. Tell me more. She's super vague and doesn't really directly explain everything that they're going to do or answer any of his questions about what the ritual's actual like physical functions are. Yeah. But she does say that it requires a Dionysian union, or the frenzy as they call it, which basically means get loaded and fuck like Dionysus. And he's like, count me in. She says, they pack up and they start going to another town. They start following the river, and it'll eventually lead you to another town, right? Because they need to collect some supplies, some herbs and things that she needs to do the actual ritual itself. She asks some questions about his physiology on the way. Specifically, she needs to know, like, how do certain herbs affect you? How does alcohol affect you?
This is before they had medical histories.
Yeah, exactly.
You just had to ask.
And he doesn't initially he doesn't really want to tell her, because that is giving her any kind of information, and information is weakness. He can't tell her how he is affected by certain things, because that's just dumb. But he doesn't really have a choice, and she did say something about sex magic, so he tells her this and this probably they work a little different on me, and etc. But ultimately she's like, okay, all of this is fine. I can make this work with what you have told me. Great. They reach the town and they go into the market square where Luminita plays up her Dragabete persona beautifully. So she basically does like a traveling soothsayer kind of thing. She touches people's hands, gives them readings of their basic emotional shit, you know, and only ever tells them happy outcomes and positive pregnancy tests, right?
Oh, she's all for the HEA.
Yeah. And that gets her money. They give her gifts and coin in exchange. That's how she funds this entire operation. While they weave their way through these large crowds and she's working the crowd and talking to people, every time they get deeper into the crowd, they get bottlenecked further and further in together and then toward like a wall. And each time they get closer, the tension just ratchets up higher and higher. They're desperately attracted to each other. The heat, as it is often called, like just as a general reference for how horny we are right now, just gets higher and higher as they get closer together, until eventually he gets like pushed into her and up against a wall, and he's pinning her against this wall. And he's trying not to touch her because she told him not to. And he's trying to be polite.
Hands up in the air.
I think he's like hands over her head, but away from her. And she says his name to get his attention because he's horned the fuck up being this close to her. And in response, he calls her Draga, which is what he will continue to call her for the rest of the book. But that makes her push him away. In Romanian, Draga is a term of endearment.
Okay.
Much like my love or sweetheart. So calling her that, not okay.
Well, because I was wondering, is it like a term of endearment, or is it like when you call an umpire blue?
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you know, disrespecting them, just blue.
Yeah,
it's the former.
It's the former,
but that still pisses.
Yeah, because it's presumptuous.
Yes,
and it's also way too vulnerable for her. She doesn't. Luminita does not do emotions. Thank you so much. This is a sociopaths in love kind of book. So she pushes him away and she sends him off to start looking for supplies to get a little space. She keeps doing her Dragabete thing. Eventually he comes back and she says, well, we're going to have to stay here overnight because we didn't get everything we need. And the innkeeper gifted me a room in exchange for my reading. So we'll go to that inn. We'll get something to eat and we'll get some rest. They go to the inn. The room that they have been gifted is tiny. Like it's the smallest room, and she sends him downstairs to try and buy a second room, and they don't have any more. So they are forced to sleep in this room with only one bed. And initially she tries to make him sleep on the floor, And he refuses. And she reminds him, like, you're mine to command. She reminds him of his loyalty to her. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not a fucking dog. I don't sleep on the ground. If you want to do this ritual of yours with me, the powerful vampire that you think is going to be so important to this power ritual of yours, I'm going to sleep in the fucking bed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope he's at least on to the fact that he's more important than she lets on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she's already expressed, like, you are a singularly powerful creature. Doing this ritual with you is what I want. Mm-hmm. Well, now he's got leverage. So
no good.
Yeah, she has no choice. He's sleeping in the bed. This whole scene, this whole argument, and like they ate stew and stuff and all this, it was weirdly domestic in a cute kind of scary way. They were fighting the entire time. They were very angry at each other. And they are two undead creatures who feed on the energy of humans to live, right?
Literally and figuratively in their cases.
Yeah, but they're also like bickering in the firelight in the small room with the stew and the wine, and it was just like, oh wow, this is the coziest argument ever between people who could literally kill you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I realized I said, like, I was implying that he literally does it and she figuratively does it, but she just does it in a different way. Mm-hmm. She's different life version of the life force.
Exactly, it's all energy.
Yeah.
He just needs to process his through heme or something. I don't know. The next morning, he wakes up and she's already getting dressed for the day again. They have a little flirt, but their version of flirting is always kind of treacherous somehow.
Dangerous.
Yeah, dangerous, a little scary. She teases him. She asks him if he needs to take care of his morning wood. Physiological response, even if you haven't had sex in 7,000 years, apparently. And he's like, no, it'll go on its own, unless you want to help, of course. Absolutely not. But the chemistry between these two is just, it's so good. She's incredibly seductive. She uses her ability to sense his emotions to her advantage, and he is smooth. He's smooth as fuck. Everything he says to her is just like panty meltingly good to her. Mm-mm. And the whole time you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe you two aren't fucking right now. It's so funny. They separate for the day, but not before they have breakfast together. And as a method of kind of keeping him under her thumb for the morning and making sure he doesn't run away, she sucks on his earlobe, which is a really strange scene. Like she bit his ear. She got in his ear and whispered and like nibbled on his earlobe.
Okay.
And that gave him a little tickle, and that was enough to keep him going for the day, I guess. In town, he gets everything that she has asked him to get, including going the extra mile to find a really nice like silver chalice for their ritual wine that they need. And while he
sorry, I'm just imagining those conversations. You think it's a bit much? You mean for our sex ritual?
She was actually really appreciative of the fact that he went the extra mile and got like the jewel encrusted one. It's nice, right? So while he's in this shop that has all the finery, he also buys her a necklace, which he intends to then take home and give to her as a gift. It is a very fine gold chain with a ruby, like a drop of blood, that hangs right between her breasts. While he is out doing this shopping, she goes to the herbalist. She gets everything that she needs. She needs laurel to make crowns and a couple of other like basic herbs, and then a few things that are in the nightshade family, including the seeds of the datura flower, which I had to Google and then immediately found out is Jimson weed. And Jimson weed, if you're a witchy person, especially in North America, is dangerous as fuck. It will kill you.
Oh.
It's a hallucinogen, and people sometimes try to trip on it and end up killing themselves because it's full of aconite, which is the fancy term for the blood thinner in wolfsbane.
Okay. See, I'm very pro tripping, but I'm very anti-dying.
Yeah. So Jimson weed is used in a lot of traditional ritual herbal stuff, but you're not supposed to ingest the seeds or the leaves.
Okay. Well, now I know.
Yeah, but it's useful for a lot of stuff. It's also technically an abortifacient. So if you are in dire need, do not do it on your own, but you can find ways to use local herbs to help take care of your needs as a person with a uterus who does not want a baby. Anyway, so she goes and she buys all of these herbs, including the very deadly poisonous ones that the herbalist probably wouldn't normally sell her, except she's Dragatia. And so, trust me, it's fine. It works in her case. And then she goes back to their room and she uses a big old mortar and pestle that she also bought to grind all of this stuff up and put it into a very fine powder, which she will then put in the wine. And while she's doing all of this, she's feeling incredibly guilty because she is going to use this stuff to dose Aaron.
Oh.
And he doesn't know that. And she's starting to have actual feelings for this, some kind of feelings. What kind of feelings? These people don't really know what their feelings are. They're not in touch with any of it, but she's having some kind of feeling. And she feels really bad that she's about to betray him in some way. But also, she's got plans, and the plans will not be fucked up by a man at any cost, right? And she's also kind of feeling just generally shitty because she's an empath and she's in an inn right now the night before a major festival, and everybody's all rowdy and drunk and she's feeling all of their feelings. So she's just having a really bad time. When he comes back to their room, he has everything that she asked him to get, and she is pleased, but she also teases him a little bit because he did not come back with a woman, which he needs specifically as a blood sacrifice as part of the ritual. He's like, why? What do I need a woman for? I don't want a woman. I want you. And she's like, just for blood, idiot. And whatever else you want too. But like, it's a blood sacrifice. Don't worry about it.
It's not that deep.
Yeah. But for real, he was like, what do I need her for? Because I will not be fucking her. It was, but in flowerier language, because this is 1241, and she was just teasing him the whole time. It was hilarious. He then gives her the necklace. Well, first he says he doesn't like hanging out with humans. He's got the blood sacrifice covered, but he doesn't like hanging out with them, so he's going to bring her back here.
Fair.
She'll be here when she's needed. And then he hands her that necklace, and he gifts it. He says it is a gift for her in honor of her ritual. And she is sort of crushed. Weirdly, she's devastated and upset about it because she thinks that what he is doing now is he's buying her. He's buying her affections by giving her shiny presents. And he's like, okay, first of all, I bought this with your money.
Centuries old witches. They're just like us.
You have no idea how true that is. But he explains to her, so first of all, I bought this with your money. So it's not really buying you. Like, I can't buy you with your own money.
Yeah, it seems off.
I got this for you because it looked like it belonged to the goddess of blood and chaos. And that's you. Oh. And she's like, my panties. And for a second, I thought we were going to fuck ahead of schedule. I really thought she was going to lose that control, but my girl has it tighter than iron, man. She's never going to let it go. This is also the conversation where she learns that he hasn't been interested in or had sex in about 7,000 years. And so he basically explains to her that she is uniquely attractive to him because she's so different than any other woman that he has ever met. And she's just like, follow the plan, follow the plan, follow the plan, follow the plan.
I was going to say, I think if you spend 7,000 years not interested in sex, I think you're ace at that point. I think you're ace.
Yes, I think that's true. But sexuality is fluid.
Yes.
So you can be not ace again.
Exactly. You can just turn that switch.
I mean, you can't turn it, but if the switch turns.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It is what it is. Your body, your brain, they change constantly forever.
Yeah. Signed, a 40 or 6-year-old man who kind of figured out his sexuality in his 40s.
Yep. Eventually she puts a halt to that conversation because she's in danger of like having sex and not yet. And so they spend the rest of the evening sort of mostly in silence. She weaves laurel crowns for the ceremony that they're going to be doing. They have a little bit of conversation, but mostly they're just chilling. When it's time for the ritual, she asks him to leave so that she can change. And he's like, I've seen you fully naked. But she's like, no, I can't take my clothes off in front of you right now. I can't. You got to get out of the room. Because again, still super horny for this man. He leaves. She gets dressed in her super fancy outfit. And then he comes back in and he asks that she please cover herself up before she walks through the crowd downstairs. Because if anyone tries to touch her, while she looks like that, somebody's going to try and touch her. And if anyone tries to touch her, he will kill them. And she goes to fight with him. And he leans in and he stops her and he says, not because you belong to me, but because you do not belong to them. And she was like, you have to go. It was so funny. He leaves first. And then she leaves a few minutes later to go downstairs. She is like covered in a robe so that people won't get too attracted or interested in her. But she gets groped like one time by a drunk. And he's immediately right there in the bar with her. And he leans down in her ear and he says, give me permission to touch you just once so that I can get you out of here. And she agrees, and he just lifts her up, bridal style, carries her right out so that nobody else will touch her or bother her. And when they get outside, he sets her down. And it is dusk. They are getting ready to do this moonlit ritual. And he says that he's found the perfect place for it. They're going to a mineral spring that's outside of town, but still pretty close by. But great setting for sex magic in the woods, right?
Oh, yeah.
God,
you kidding me?
So good choice.
It's the highest rated fuck spot on Yelp.
Oh, man. Have you ever been to that mineral spring in central Romania? God, yeah. What a good fuck spot.
It gets a little crowded sometimes, but I know a guy.
You know what? I heard they're on Open Table now.
Oh. Only do parties of 4, though. 4 or more.
Oh.
And you can't sit until your whole party's there.
You can't start until your whole party's there.
You can't be like, there's the 4th is late and you're all jerking each other off. Or, like, come on. The fuck? I thought you.
Jeremy's stuck in traffic.
You get one of those little buzzing.
Oh, yes. It buzzes when your table's ready.
When your fuck spot's ready.
Your 15-minute window, okay? This is busy time. You're at the height of tourist season.
Plus, it's Dragobete. Everybody wants to be here for Dragobete.
Everybody wants to be here for Dragobete.
It's the spot to do your sex ritual.
It's also cold as hell because Dragobete's in February.
Well, it's a hot spring.
It's a mineral spring.
It can be hot.
It could be, but they called it a mineral spring. So I don't know if it's hot or not. Are you hot or not, mineral spring? Anyway.
Tell me your secrets.
Don't tell me these secrets, please. I don't want to know what happened here tonight.
Mineral spring, what secrets do you hide?
Nothing good. That's my mineral spring voice, apparently.
Great choice.
So good. So once the tension of that moment of him carrying her and then setting her down dissipates, they are approached by a young woman from town wearing her traditional dress who is here to be their like assistant for the evening. He hired her as to assist them in Dragasha's Dragobete ritual. She thinks she's being chosen for an incredible honor. And they're just like, whatever, fucking follow me.
Well, it's kind of disappointing to find out that even centuries ago, the gig economy was real.
It's the last time I ever take a job on Fiverr. So they head out into the woods and they get all set up for this ritual. They've got all of the shit that they need, candles or torches and ritual wine, and they off so much off. No, it's February. Maybe the mosquitoes aren't out yet.
That's true.
And so she has him and this random woman from town stand in the middle of this ritual circle. They do this whole thing. And this woman is like, I don't understand what I'm here for. Really, I don't. And they're just like, shut up. This poor woman. She tries to run at the end of it when she realizes like something bad is about to happen to her, but it's too late.
Wait, is this a sex ritual?
Is this a blood sacrifice? Guys.
I have to adjust my settings in the app.
You didn't say. I would have charged $12 an hour.
I thought I said no sex rituals.
Jesus. Again, last time I do a gig on Fiverr. So eventually he eats this woman.
And not in the fun way.
Not in the fun way. He drinks her blood. She draws like sigils on him and stuff. And he is essentially now become the vessel for Dionysus. And what she is going to do is then have sex with Dionysus as a method of gaining power, right? That's what this whole thing has been about. So once the ritual is complete and he's drank the blood and the woman is dead on the floor, he's like, okay, we're done now, right? And he kisses, like he kisses her. He's waited long enough. We're doing this. And so he kisses her, and it is the most incredible, perfect, passionate moment either of them has ever had. In the book, it is called a collision of souls, which is beautiful poetic language, Jenny. And it is just this one perfect kiss. He starts grabbing at her. She's leaning into it as well. Like the horny is for real. But as soon as he gets a hand up her skirts, she stops him and tells him that he has to drink the wine first. He has to drink the wine for the ritual. Otherwise the ritual won't work. And then she goes and she gets this wine. She dumps the powder in. She brings it back to him to drink. And they start making out some more. Things get really intense. They're on the ground. And then he starts to feel dizzy and weird. And she's crying for some reason, and he can't really understand why that's happening. And then he loses consciousness, and when he opens his eyes again, there is nothing behind them. He is an empty vessel, and she is in absolute regret, because what she has done is she's taken him out of the equation. Mm-hmm. It's just the body now, and he is in full frenzy, and they have fucking awesome sex, and it's amazing and wonderful. And the orgasms are the greatest thing she's ever experienced. And it's all kind of awful because it's not Aaron. Mm-hmm. It's not anybody. It's
not Dionysus?
It's not Dionysus either. Dionysus himself, I don't know, is necessarily real in this context.
Oh, okay.
It's just the ritual of calling upon Dionysus, which is powerful.
So not to take it too literally here.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure. I actually can't really be sure, because like a lot of people, and when I was reading the reviews for the Lilith Adams series, a lot of people said that they sought that series out because they were looking for something like Sookie Stackhouse. And in the Sookie Stackhouse books, Dionysus is very fucking real.
Yeah, I remember that.
The bull-headed god from the second book, or from season 2, if you watch True Blood, is very, very real. So maybe Dionysus is real in this world as well, but he wasn't Dionysus.
I see what you're saying. I was taking it to have meant literally like he inhabits the vessel.
Yeah. Oh, no, that could also be true. That would be a cool book as well. Yeah. I would enjoy that. So the next morning he wakes up and he is hungover. He's never felt like this. The first thing he does is vomit. It's the first time he's ever vomited, and he's like, never doing that again.
Wow.
Once in 7,000 years is enough. Never again. And he feels so shitty, and he can't really remember anything that happened after kissing her, after the ritual. He is swimming his way through these muddy memories, and eventually he remembers her giving him the wine and then crying, and he puts 2 and 2 together.
Just a terrible.
I know.
Those 2 and 2 are terrible. 2 and 2.
Yes. Yeah. What fucking awful math we're doing right now.
She gave me wine and then started crying.
Yeah. And I should have known then that something was wrong.
Oh.
And she explains to him that there was aconite in the wine, and he very quickly understands what happened. She used a very precise amount of this hallucinogenic poison to separate him from his consciousness, specifically because she was trying to protect herself. She didn't want to have an emotional or vulnerable experience with this man. But in the process of doing that, she also took something from him. Mm-hmm. He is never going to be able to experience their first time ever. And he is grief stricken and broken by that. He's very, very upset. And she apologizes. She tries to explain. She's crying, but he can't understand. And she says, you will never understand. You cannot understand this, because her reasons for making these choices are very specifically female reasons. They're very specifically women's reasons. And no one like Aaron is ever going to understand her reasoning.
Yeah.
And he leans down in her face and he says, make me understand or I will make you. Something to that effect. He threatens her and she's like, you'll do fucking what? No, you absolutely will not. He grabs her by the throat and tries to kill her. Tell me why. And she grabs him by the wrist and she brings him to his knees again. She is not going to be intimidated for any reason. And she is not threatened by him. And now she has lost whatever respect she had for him, because the moment he didn't get what he wanted, he resorted to brutality and violence against her. He's just another fucking man. And he is very upset and he is broken and he is asking her why. And there's just this huge emotional like cataclysm. He grabs the ruby off of her neck. He rips the chain off and he goes to the river and he chucks it in the river. And I have a feeling that is very important. And I wouldn't be surprised if I got it to like the third or fourth Lilith Adams book and found that necklace was a very important piece of that story as well.
Yeah.
That moment felt so important and impactful. He couldn't have thrown that thing into the river if it wasn't like gonna come back later, right? And then he leaves. He walks away and she lets him go. She walks back to town in a total stupor because, again, she feels terrible about what happened, and she has now lost Aaron, the only creature in the last 300 years who has given her any amount of life, feeling. And he's absolutely right in having left her because she betrayed him. And she knew she was going to, and she knows she's in the wrong. She goes up to her room at the inn, she packs all of her stuff, and she leaves. And then a little while later, Aaron comes walking in to the inn as well, because as much as he hates her for what she did and as angry as he is, he's a fucking simp. He's ratatouilleed to this girl forever. He can't be without her. So he goes back to the room and he knocks. She doesn't answer. And eventually he opens the door and realizes that she is already gone. And the only thing that she has left behind is the laurel crown and the big mortar and pestle that she used to grind those herbs, which also may become icons of great importance later in this series. And he sits there and he thinks to himself that he will never know anyone like this woman again. And he let her walk away and he will never find her again. And that is the end of Dragobete. Thank you so much. Thank you.
When you told me that this was not a very spicy book,
I know.
I was concerned.
You were concerned?
I was concerned.
I told you, it's just a different kind of emotional, indulgence that we're having.
I was concerned. I am no longer concerned. Because that was a blast.
I know, right?
And there was some really, genuinely, cool shit. And, interesting, because, and it was really crazy because when you were talking about, he realized what he had taken from her. And in that moment, I was like, fuck yeah, he's mad. And I was like, but you're right, I can't. Yeah. I fundamentally understand.
But you can't practically understand.
Yeah. And it's like, Jesus, obviously, IRL, that is not an appropriate response. But when you put these heightened stakes on it, 7,000 years, and you made this promise, and you have the fucking nerve, that sort of in these heightened circumstances. Plus,
oh yeah,
she's safe. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah, she can't be hurt by him.
Yeah, which is so just symbolically. Beautiful. Yeah,
it's so good.
Your impotent, violent rage means nothing.
Yeah, it means nothing. And I loved her so much. She was hard and angry.
Yeah.
For every reason that I have ever felt hard and angry, because women have been feeling this crush of patriarchy for thousands of years. And her determination to be a above that, to be better than that, to outlast all of them. I loved it. I just loved her so much. She was so great. And everything that's going to come next is, I'm sure, going to be fantastic. The next book is called Dracul, and I assume we'll spend some amount of time with Vlad Dracul, or Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, I should hope so, because we talked about this. You don't name...
Oh, yeah.
You don't name a book Dracul and then make it a fake dating sports romance.
No.
Dracul's not a quarterback.
I mean, he could be.
I mean, yeah.
I would read Dracula the quarterback. Vampire quarterback.
Oh my God, like just smash it together.
Yes.
Like,
Vampire University's got a whole sports program.
Yeah.
Miskatonic University 2025.
Nice.
Come on.
I love
Eldritch
it.
Horror's getting horny in the dorms.
I love it. I am into it. What are you into?
What am I into? I'm so glad that you asked. I am into the newest season of Doctor Who.
Okay.
I'm probably going to say that every season of this show at some point, that I'm into the newest season of Doctor Who, because Doctor Who is my comfort character. The Doctor is my comfort character. Every version of them is my comfort character. But this Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, is amazing. He is an incredible doctor. I love everything that he's done with the character. Every choice that he has made. He's complex, but he's kind, but not goofy. He's like sunshine. Mm-hmm. He's warm, but he can also burn you. Like, I just love him so much. And we're 7 episodes in now. So we've gotten to one of the first big 2-part episodes. They usually do a couple of those a year. Yep. And this 2-parter is excellent. It's incredible. I like what they're doing with it. I especially love that they are addressing some of people's concerns about the way Doctor Who has been treating women for the last decade or so, by taking several of the most important women from the Doctor's life and making them even more efficiently, functionally brilliant without him around. Because you don't need the Doctor to save the world. And I love that.
And I think the Doctor would agree.
Oh, he absolutely would agree. I think he would prefer if he didn't have to save our world all the time.
Yeah.
This 2-parter, the bad guy that they have chosen to bring back, because they often bring back classic villains, is the Rani, who is a time lady. Yeah. Another lost Time Lord. And I love her. She's fantastic. She's great. I always love an evil time lady. And I'm really glad they're not doing the Master again, because honestly, Missy was perfect. And the fact that they tried to do him again right after that made me want to kick somebody.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
No. Missy was so perfect. Her entire storyline was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And then they went and brought a new Master in. That guy's great. That actor, fantastic. That storyline, great. They just didn't need to do it again.
And he was a terrific actor. I didn't like his take on it.
Oh, yeah.
He was
a little milktoast.
Yeah,
He was kind of bland in his version.
I didn't like it.
But he is a good actor. I've seen him in other stuff I really like.
Yeah.
That was also Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, so he gets a pass on everything because it's Jodie.
Yeah. No. Again, the actor was phenomenal. Did a great job with. Just because I don't agree with the choices they made doesn't mean that they didn't perform those choices well.
No, absolutely not. But so the choices that they are making now with the villain, these longer form deep villains from this season are also coming back. These interdimensional powerful beings beyond comprehension. Neil Patrick Harris's character in the special, the Toymaker.
Yep.
One of several creatures of this caliber, and they had one of the best villains ever in this season. Was it this season or last season? Last season was one of those interdimensional, like, super powerful creatures. The Maestro.
Was that the cartoon one?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. The cartoon one, Mr. Ring-a-Ding from this season. He's also a version of the Toymaker, or a version of one of those interdimensional
That's what I was
beings.
asking. Yeah.
But no, the Maestro was an entity who used music to control things.
Oh, that's right.
And she was played by Jinx Monsoon, who is an incredible drag queen, and she fucking crushed that role. I was actually mad when she lost. I kind of wished she would have won, because she was amazing. Anyway, I've gone on about Doctor Who for a long time. What are you into, baby?
I, unsurprisingly, am into a video game. A video game that we actually talked about playing tonight, and that is Monster Prom 4 MonsterCon.
Yes.
Monster Prom is an ongoing series of dating sims, but Monster Prom 4 is the first one that I've ever actually played, and we played it. We did a round of it in Baltimore while we were at Monsterotica in our hotel room because I took my laptop with me, and it was an absolute blast. It was hilarious. It was so much fun to play. And we're going to play it again tonight. And we actually have talked about we've kicked the tires on doing some streaming.
Yeah.
For initially for our patrons. We'll see if we expand that. But I guarantee you that once we get at least through Sinful, I imagine through Sinful, we'll probably start kicking the tires on doing some Twitch streaming, not exclusively MonsterCon, because I'm just an avid gamer who I like the idea of streaming, and I think it'd be fun to stream to an audience that already is familiar with me, and only those people.
Yeah, before you start opening it up to strangers.
Exactly.
I get that.
That's what I'm into. Monster Prom for MonsterCon. What do we have on the agenda for next week?
Honestly, I didn't pick a book.
Oh,
son of a bitch! I haven't even thought about it. I'm
son of a bitch.
So sorry. I guess it'll be a surprise.
Oh, it will be a surprise for all of us, but as always, I am looking forward to it. But in the meantime, you can find us on social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads. All of the links are in our link tree, which is down in the show notes. If you would like to communicate with us via email, please do so, cheapsmutpod@gmail.com. A link to this book is down in the show notes. It'll also be the top link on our link tree once this episode hits the main feed. It's never an affiliate link. We never get any money for it. We're just trying to help the authors out. If you would like to support us financially, you can do so for as little as $1 a month on Patreon, like these fine folks have: Catherine Zofreya, Tara Tappan, Katie Shepard, Lindsay Rain, Eden Knox, Zach, Zoe Barrett, Emily Purley, Aaron Manak, Miss Chris, Raven, Natasha Bear, Desiree Rodriguez, Local Mind Flayer Seattle, number 42, Vincent Sultanfuss, Kitsune Inc., Cassie, Cassandra, Brian S., April D. Berry, Dana Goddard, Stephanie Hawkins, Gemma, Lady Squishy Buns, Tia Esk, Rob Gatika, Angela McNichols, Katie Hurd, Gwendolyn Harper, Seneca O., and Rebecca K. The music that you hear in this and every episode is called Storytime by Mated Fates.
This week, we would like to extend an extra special congratulations to our patron, Katie Hurd, who, in her capacity as a narrator, has her first big gig narrating Samantha Moran's Apothecary of Curiosities series. And I am so excited for her. I can't wait to hear it, Katie. Listener, if there is a book in you, write it. And if there's fucking in it, I'll read it.
And then she'll come on this show and explain it to me for your entertainment.
I'm gonna go now. Bye-bye.